This is video 4 of how to make a car quiet and ready for a sound system. We're continuing our application of ResiNix products. This is what the door is going to look like when we're done with today's video. That is the application of ResiNix CLD on the inner door panel, and it's shown in time lapse so you don't miss a single exciting moment. After that, we're going to go to ResiNix barrier, close up the holes with a lead-based product, and then show you how I install speakers. That's also a very time-intensive product and process. Then we do fiber mat and make the door panels deadened and quiet. All of this, of course, is in our 2023 SS Camaro. Let's go. So, we are going to continue. Now we're going to apply the ResiNix CLD on the face of all these metal surfaces. Even though we've treated the inside, hear that rattle? Yeah, stuff like that. We still have stuff that's making a rattling sound when we hit on it. And you know, that's essentially, I can hear, there's like a metal resonant sound. Even though this is fully damped, and it's very sound absorptive, this surface needs to be treated. Now, you can start cutting thin little pieces and piecing it together, but I found, you know, obviously constrained layer damping works by having a large piece, as large as possible. So what I do is I use the pieces that come with between the layers and use them as guidelines, right? So I know I gotta cut this, and you know, you're kind of eyeballing it a little bit here and there. Ideally, you wanna stay to where you're not interfering with where these clips are. So you kind of want to stay on the inside of all of those. Now you'll have a series of markers and scissors and other tools you can bend out of the way as well. And say, okay, I'll just bend that, and then I'll just bend that, and then I can probably just cut that. So that could work. So then I'll transfer it over. Now, in reality, there's no sense in you watching this whole thing. So I'll probably just do like a speed. And we're not trying to be overly precise here. We just want to get as close as we can. Right? Now this is the paper side. The other side is the wax side. And it works even less well for marking. You're going to channel your inner 5-year-old, and it's craft time, right? So we're like this, and this is obviously still a problem, so we'll just go ahead and come down here. Right, okay, that looks pretty good. Now we have this whole opening here. So I know that I'm gonna be right up to there, and I have to find some way to mark that up. So I can overlap a little bit and wrap it around. Which is why I don't have to worry about being too terribly accurate with that piece, because it is just going to wrap around. All right. And we have a little hole here, so we got to cut out for that. For that, we'll use a little box knife. And you can just assume that all of your deadener cuts are going to be rectangles, because they are. Now we got a bolt access there, and then we have another hole up here, but that's not used for anything. Oh, it's the index hole for the piece that we're not going to use anymore. So we'll just cover that up. So now we know we got an index hole here, we got a piece here, we know we're right about there. That's what that hole is. We know we got a clip right about there. That's where that clip is. We'll transfer that to the deadener. That way we know about when we stick it on about where it needs to be. You know, in fact, I think I'm going to trim this back a little bit more. I don't want this to be this tall. And you can see the benefit of me doing this here is that I don't have to really waste a piece. We're just gonna trim this off this way. And yeah, we'll just take this whole thing and then just kind of smooth it out because we don't need any crazy shapes. That's not gonna help us. Trim that out a little bit. There. I like that. Next, we'll grab our piece of CLD. And then we're just going to trace this. Now you'll notice that the paper is a little bit larger than the CLD. So we just have to recognize we're going to stop a little short, and that's fine. Because when we do our next piece, we'll just account for that. But the paper's slightly larger. And craft time. Now here I'm speeding it up because obviously you can't watch me do all this in real time. It takes hours to put this all together. I'm cutting very carefully, and it takes a long time to do these awkward cuts because you're trying to cut in a rotated kind of fashion. You flip it over and you try and finish your cut that you did on the front, and then you realize you didn't cut far enough through on the front, then you cut through again on the front. All these awkward pieces, you just have to be patient and take your time. Be safe. All right, last fit. Last chance, and again, remember, we want to index this. So index there, and index there, index there, bolts. Let's give it a shot. Now sometimes you can just work some of it and not all of it at once, so then that way you don't get the bottom to stick and then the top doesn't, or vice versa. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to get that up there, bring this down. Now what I noticed is my hole is a little shy, so that's unfortunate, but that's okay. Hasn't stuck yet. All right, I like that. Now we come in and we start to roll. Now when it comes to wrapping this around, there's two ways we can do it. We can either just straight wrap or we can trim and slice it. Given that I just overlapped the edge, I don't have to slice it. So here we have an access hole, and I'll actually just go ahead and make a circle there. So if anybody does need to know where that is, they can find it later. All right. And just like that, we have a piece. And we're going to make our way around. Now, I had shown you before that this, it's that and that. There's that piece there that's kind of ready to go, but I'd like to piece as I go this way. So it's likely that I'm just gonna set a new piece, and maybe I use this as a template, maybe I don't. I just kind of want to go edge to edge. Now I can, because I know I'm only gonna do a partial there, I'll skip this and I'll just infill that, so that way I can get more of a piece. You know what, it doesn't really matter because I got this hole here, don't I? So yeah, let's go ahead and see what we can build out of this. And I expect to just basically speed all this up. All right, so a little bit of time-lapse action, and now we have this entire door treated. And obviously, as I mentioned before, we're curious, do we have anything that makes noise? There's still a little bit of like frame rail noise with the windows. We gotta be careful about how much of this we try to treat, because obviously we can't touch this, and that can make noise. We can't touch that, that can make noise. After you've got all your cutouts for all of your clips, you cut those out, put them all back in. All of our clips are reassembled. This is the extension. It's gonna have to be wrapped in some more tape. So we have Guardian and ResiNix CLD all over these doors. We are done with CLD for now. Now next we have to do the barrier. And the barrier is the magical treatment that's going to close these holes up properly. Of course, the factory piece is way too thin. It's just gonna rattle and make noise. You'd like to use it, but you really can't. So we're gonna do barrier, and then we're gonna cover the whole thing with fiber mat. And at that point, we can reassemble the door. Isn't that exciting? Okay, moving on. What an exciting conclusion to the Deadener. But now we get to do ResiNix barrier and then fiber mat. Stay tuned for video number 5.